Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Fresco, expansions 12 through 17. Let's check it out. Alright, so let me go ahead and run through all of these modules. You can play with them all mixed in together or one at a time. The first one I'm going to talk about is the dames. Now, the rulebook says, hey, find the spots marked on the board. That must be the newer version of the game. So if you have the old version of the game, but you bought the expansion, as quick as I can tell, it starts on the 9 spot, and then every 4 spaces, you put the dames out. Now, what happens with the dames is when someone lands on or goes past that space, they may collect that dame, and they can only have a total of 2 dames in their person, so they can have 1 purple and 1 pink. So for instance, if one player went here and got purple and then someone passed him up and got pink, and then that player got another score, he couldn't grab this purple, he'd have to wait till the next pink. Now eventually around the board, everyone's going to get 1 of each, and when they do, they're automatically going to come with this little board here that's going to give them certain actions. So on their turn, when they're assigning painters, they may also assign 1 or 2 dames. Again, they can't assign 2 dames to the same area, just 1 at each area. It's kind of self-explanatory here. This part here lets you switch to market tiles in the market from one to the next. This one gives you these tokens here of each player color here. This lets you reserve a tile for painting. So if there's something you wanted to reserve, you don't want anyone to get it, you see someone's about to get it, you can put down this reservation tile. Now, you have 2 turns to paint it. That turn and the next turn. On the next turn, at the end of that turn, if you didn't paint it, you would flip it over to its nighttime side. And then if you didn't paint it on that turn, then it would be removed out of the game and anyone could paint it, if not you. So those are the reservation tiles there. The other ones here is, if you put a dame here, however many people you send to go get some money during the paintings, they make a penny more. This one lets you switch out any base color with another base color when you go to the mixing area. If these kind of match right up with the base player boards here. And then this one, where you'd usually go to the theater here, this dame here will automatically bring your person to the center of the track. So if you're down here below, that can really help you. If the dame goes here, it can lift up your spirits. These are awesome. And just like everything toward the end of the game, you would flip this over. And the new action here, instead of the theater, is that you can move the bishop anywhere just for 1 penny, which is another big one too. All right, that is the dame promo, now, or module, I should say. The next one is Pews. You have new market tiles that you mix in with your regular market tiles that come with wood. It can come with 1 or 2 planks of wood, and of course you would get paint as well with it. Now when you pick one of these, you also get one of these little wood tokens here and add them to your collection. You also have another little action space that you can put on your board. As you see, it automatically comes with 1 worker. If you want to build 2 pews, you could, or 3 pews, you could, depending on the amount of wood you have. What you do is you place this over your player board and then take that action, forfeiting the action that you covered. And then you'd go over here to the pew board and pay X amount of pews, and then you would take it and then flip it over, and that's how many victory points you would get. Of course, these are smaller and these would be the bigger points, and they do all vary. They're not all the same. I mean, except that these are the smallest and these are the largest and these are in the middle, but they all kind of vary in price, and that's just another way that you can get extra victory points in the game. Another module is called the Catacombs. What's changed here is you put these little tokens here for 5, 6, 7 o'clock. When someone goes to one of these spots, in addition to buying market tiles, they may buy 1 of these little tokens, and these little tokens just highlight areas of the board. Now that arrow is pointing to the altar. As you see, the altar's here, so you will always turn the direction there, and everyone can see, no matter which side they're sitting on the table, they can always see what side of the church it's talking about, because the altar is always, so the arrow is always pointing toward the altar. Now what you would do on your turn is you would play this. It's a one-time only use thing. You'd play this on your player board with a person on top of it. So basically you're almost sacrificing whatever turn turn you're doing and putting this on your board. And what you're doing is one of these tiles have to be painted. So let's say this had a painting tile on it, you couldn't dig into that catacomb. Only when that catacomb is exposed. Now I put them all over here, but those catacombs are exposed, would you be able to dig underneath the catacomb. So let's say someone painted this one, they took it off, or actually that's not the one, it's the one above that. See that area? Whoop, right here. Had it wrong. So it'd be one of these two areas here. And if both of them were exposed, I could look at one. If only one was exposed, obviously I'd have to go just for that one. Now there are several different ones of these that go to different types around the areas. A lot of them overlap, so you can always go back and miss one. But once you use these, you've got to discard it. You have to go back and get one of these slots to get another one of them and use that again. But once you do that, you'll excavate underneath the catacomb, and let's say I took this tile. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to receive the reward. This is for paint cubes. You get X amount of points, 3 points for paint cubes, and you get money. Other things can just give you, hey, 5 victory points and 5 money. It just depends. Now, once you dig, that's it. And you can keep digging as long as it's completed. So even at the end of the game, even though maybe someone's all painted the entire fresco, you may still have some people wanting to excavate the catacombs just to get some extra bonus points. The next module is the dome here. What you're going to do is you're going to put these dome, and you're going to put these, if you're playing with both of these, you'll put this on the bottom and you'll put this below them. And you only put these in the center there, and these are the dome tokens here. And then you'll put the painting tokens underneath the whole board. The only difference is when you paint one of these middle areas here, so let's say, let's say again that I painted this one, then I automatically collect the dome underneath it. Now this dome I'll put behind my player board, and it shows me, hey, if I can paint this, at the end of the game, I'll get 10 extra points. So everyone's kind of hiding these, and at the end, you're saving up some extra paint so you can get these extra points. And they vary in value and what paints you need as well. But that's just some extra ways, again, to score points. The next module I'm going to talk about is the Painters Guild here. The Painters Guild, you'll just grab one random paint from orange, green, or purple to start with, and one base paint here. And while they're mixing paints, one of the actions they can do is trade out 1 for 1 of equal value. So they could trade this out for a yellow if they just needed one, or they could trade this out for a green, you know, if they needed one. And you just basically place it in this area, and anyone could utilize it if they wanted to. And the next one is the black market. The black market is basically just where one tile goes. It's just an extra spot that you can go. So if these are all 4 and there's 4 players and everyone visit each market, well, at least you have a 4th option there to go to the black market and hopefully get some paint. And that is all the expansion modules in the game. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Well, first off, I love Queen Games, as everyone knows if you've been watching my channel long enough, and I absolutely love Fresco. That's why when I heard about this, I didn't back it on Kickstarter. I regretted it. Then got to late pledge. So happy when it finally came in. This was one of my most anticipated Kickstarters to get in, because like I wanted to see what it added to Fresco, and it's all good. It's all good. Going through all of these, first off, the dames. At first I didn't know what to think, but after a while, you use all of their powers. All their powers were all used by in our games. We loved using the dames. I think I was the only one who reserved a tile, but when I did that, it was at the perfect moment, because I knew everyone was going for the big points. I was like, oh, I just need 2 more turns to get it, or 1 more turn to get it. And so reserving it, everyone had skipped over that, and then afterwards, like, we should have reserved more. But the dames are really, really nice. It encourages you to get those points really quick too, instead of holding out and trying to do one big move where you cash in big time. You're trying to get those points as fast as you can, because the dames are awesome. Now the catacombs is great too. I love that. You may not be able to paint some of those fresco ceilings. However, when they are painted, you can start digging. And at first you're buying these up. You're thinking, I don't think I should buy that many. I should have bought more. I should have bought them every time I was on there. Because when someone else, paints a part of the fresco, of course they're getting big points, but you get something. You get something if you dig. And I love that. You're not going to dig it all up, but the catacombs are really, really, really worth it. Now the pews, building the pews and everything, love that one too. too. Great way to get some points. Now, of course, the sad thing is, about toward the end of the game, all the pews are going to be built, and so there's no reason to go ahead and get those. You just stop playing with the pews. That's the only bad thing about it, but it's a great idea because someone can be building those pews and getting some big points. They can help them out. The dome, I really like the idea of the dome, and when we played with it, I wasn't sure it was going to be because we did Catacombs and dome together, and that's in some cases, 3 stacks of tiles. I thought that's going to be too confusing. It was not. Dome is wonderful because you have tiles. It's a secret. No one knows how many points they are, and you keep collecting paints. Usually toward the end, everyone's trying to mix the same paints, right? Because there's only X amount of Fresco squares left. But now you're mixing paints and trying to get ready for the end game where you can get some big points at the end. I saw people mixing more paint than I ever had before in this game, and that's because of the domes. Smart expansion. Really like that. The black market. Love that as well. Awesome. I should mention with the pews, I love that you have extra market squares. You need more. I have to reshuffle every turn. Now it's every other turn, which is better. They need to put more paint market squares in there. But the extra black market is really good. It's always nice to have that fourth. It's sad that when you're fourth in line to get some stalls and there's nothing left to buy. I mean, that still can happen if they send too many people, but at least you get something. And maybe the last market you're left with has nothing anyway, so you take a risk and you go to the black market. That's great to me. The Painters Guild, the little paint thing, that one's nice too. It wasn't utilized that much, but when it was, it's well worth it. Now, if you're playing with the dames, you really don't need to switch out the primary colors, right? So that one's not important. So those two don't mix well. But with the purple, green, and orange, switching out those other secondary colors, man, that's where it got a lot, because it helped me once, it helped someone else get some big points once, because sometimes you don't have the right mixes to get the color you want, but if you mix green, then you can switch it out with that purple that's on the painter's blot there. It's really good. So it's a good one. It's a good mini expansion too. Overall, this enhances Fresco. I can't believe I can say that after what? It already had 11 expansions. Now they've had 7, they add 17 now to the whole expansion thing. And to be honest, these are brand new. They go in different places for Fresco. This is going to be climbing up my list again, I think. This is such a great game. Enhanced by this. If you love Fresco, you need to get this. Now, do you need to get the Mega Box? Sure, if you don't have Fresco, buy the Mega Box. This comes with it. Everything comes with it. I didn't want to rebuy the Mega Box. The artwork looks really nice, but I should also mention, if you have the older version, they have cards and tiles with the older art on there too, which I thought was really nice, something they didn't have to do. Queen Games is excellent, and this is an excellent expansion, folks. All right, that is all the time I have for now. Until next time, you know what to do. Buy Queen Games.